What do you guys want to talk about?
How's your month been going?
Boy.
Fire away, let's start.
Coach, how excited is everybody about this Super Bowl trip and a chance to play a team like Alabama?
Everybody's excited about the challenge and the opportunity. You know, we're going to get a chance to play against the gold standard in college football for sure. Over the last few decades, I've really been the heart of my career. It's always been Alabama and really everybody else. And so it's a great opportunity. We know the challenge that we're going to face, but you know, it's the CFP's got the top four. I argue that this might be the best game or matchup outside of the CFP. So I know it's going to be a great challenge, but our guys are excited about it.
Can you update us just on what the schedule has been like in the last week or two and where it's going from here?
Yeah, well, we finally get to practice with some consecutive days now because we've been on the road the last couple weeks, and so we just come back on the weekends and practice on Saturday and Sunday and then head out again. Coach True's been with them a little bit, doing some strength and conditioning. We've had finals. We've had a lot of things. We were able to practice on Saturday with a lot of developmental stuff, and then yesterday we got a little bit more into prep work. We'll practice again today, tomorrow, and Wednesday before we give them a little break before we reconvene.
It's not every day that you win a Big 12 championship. How quickly were you able to put your feet back on the ground?
Unfortunately, too quickly. You know, I haven't really had a chance to enjoy it. We go right on the road. You know, from that, I was in Vegas with Adrian for the Campbell Award. And then from there, just hit on the road. So it has not hit me. I can't wait till it does. But it might be February before it does because we go right from playing in the Sugar Bowl to back on the road or with recruiting cycles and stuff. So I'm thrilled for our players and for our staff that we were able to do this in the 4 years' time that we've been here. I know it's been very, very hard. It's been very rewarding. I keep telling these guys and telling people the power of belief in those players and the power of player ownership. And it's taken 3 or 4 years to get to that point. But now we just have to find a way to sustain it. And that's, I think, sometimes harder than building it, but it makes it more fun and challenging.
And switching gears really quickly, Eli Huggins is a guy, 6-year guy, came back to this team. What does that mean to you for him to be able to do that, and what has he meant to this team this season?
Well, Eli's everything. He's a captain. He's one of our true leaders on defense. For him to make the plays on the goal line stops in that big game, and Eli and I have had some conversations. He came back for a reason, and that's not just to compete for a 6-year. It was to win a championship. And, Eli's a pretty humble guy. He's not going to be publicly stating this is why, only reason I came back to win a championship. But deep down, I know that was one of the reasons that he really felt like we had the opportunity. And it was critical for us that he did come back because he's been such a huge part of this to get us where we're at.
I know you sell a lot more than one game and one championship and 1 year. I get that, but I have to believe that playing on national television and winning the league championship in the dramatic manner in which you did has to resonate with high school coaches and high school kids.
I sure hope so. I think there's some validation that what we're doing here collectively with players, staff, support staff is the right way and the right thing. I don't know if everybody outside of this place believed that was the case all the time, but gave us some validation with our own staff, myself, our own people in the building, as well as when we go out to schools and to see players that, you can go to Kansas State and be a champion. Something that I always say we have been talking about since the day I was in here in 2019 and Gene introduced me to the football team, that if you believe and you take ownership, you can become a champion. And I firmly believe that. That was not just me talking to try to get kids motivated. I firmly believed that could happen. Did it happen sooner or later than I thought? You know what? That's life. I don't know. Did we not have the 2020 campaign with the COVID? Who knows? Could have happened sooner. To the fact that we had the amount of injuries we had this year, we played 2 quarterbacks, both really successful. I just think our kids always believed that they had this opportunity, and it wasn't easy, but they got it done.
Chris, just so we can check it on or off the list, you had any players say that they don't want to play this game, they just want to opt out?
No, and I don't see that happening. I think everybody that will be eligible to play will play. I did see that Alabama had the same thing, which I'm excited for the fan base, both teams, and the fans in general. That the best players want to play and play with their teammates and stuff. And one last time, I think that's a good sign for college football in general when you have a game of this magnitude with 2 really good teams, 2 really good programs, so much respect for Coach Saban and what he's done, not at Alabama, but what he's done for college football in general, that everybody's playing in this game.
So with Bryce Young and Will Anderson, they're 2 big guys playing. Who's the harder matchup there when you look at it?
I think it's probably equal. I mean, because they do so much for their football team on each side of the ball. And they're people you obviously have to prepare for. Luckily, it's one on one side and one on the other side. But make no mistake, they've got a lot of other really, really talented, good players on both sides.
I know you've kind of split bowl prep in the past. Some developmental, some prep for the game. When it's Alabama on the other side, do you shift or?
Yeah, that's a good question, Kels. I don't think you can. I don't want to. I still want to keep focus on the development of some of these younger players, and they deserve that opportunity. Those young offensive linemen deserve not to just go down to scout team, but to be coached by Coach Riley and do our system and to play against some of the younger guys on defense. And so, last weekend when we we're in the middle of recruiting and we just had a couple practices, that was the lion's share of the reps was in developmental, offense, defense, and special teams. Yesterday was a good chunk of developmental as well. We flip it a little bit more today in the next few days, but without question, we have to give those kids a time because we need to still evaluate those guys as we're moving forward into the spring of 2023.
One more for you. You've mentioned those few times that you guys really turned a corner after 2020, especially in the locker room.
Yep.
Looking back, I know that year was very stressful, but is it kind of a weird blessing in disguise that happened?
Probably. You had to reevaluate because of just how you were going to teach, how the learning environments and stuff changed. But I think everything happens for a reason. I really do. I knew when I came down here, this was to follow Coach Snyder was not going to be an easy task because of everything that Bill has meant to Kansas State and to college football, and it was the greatest turnaround in college football history, and all those things that you'd hear all the time. That I think you have to go through some of those rough patches, and it's made me better as a leader. It's made me better as a mentor. It's made me better as a football coach. It's made me age a lot more in the last few years as well. But it probably makes it more rewarding that we've had to go through the things that we did to be on that stage in early December thinking, holy cow, we got this done.
Have you had any interaction with him personally over the years? Have you guys got together and compared your national championship ring collections?
No, we've never done that. I don't think probably Coach would be doing that, but I've talked to him. I've met him, but I've talked to him over the phone a few times.
Is the lack of continuity that you've experienced kind of between practices become such a regular that you've got some consistency from it right now?
Well, we hope to get some consistency moving forward this week because you don't get consistency when you practice 2 days and you're off 5 days. The ball's on the ground more on offense. You don't maybe fit things right on defense, or you're out of alignment and stuff. We need to practice now. We need to go consecutive days to get back into that football realm. And I know we're going to give them a little bit of a break around Christmas, which the guys need, the coaches need, the support staff needs. But then we're fortunate we get a normal preparation. We'll arrive in New Orleans on Monday and start practice, and we'll have a normal Monday through Friday.
And the health of
Yeah, he would be the one that would probably be of the ones that aren't season ending, would be the one that I'm probably concerned about the most. He hasn't practiced at all yet. I don't see him practicing before we leave for New Orleans, and so that gives him a week from. Is today Monday? Yeah, a week from today. A week from today is when we get down to New Orleans, and that will be a better tell. And he still says he's playing, which I love. He said, "Coach, I'm playing," but he's got to continue to do some rehab, and we'll see how it is next Monday.
Is there a comparable Big 12 comparison to number 7, Jacory Brooks?
Boy, I haven't even thought about it.
Coach, do you call it Alabama the gold standard of college football with so many of your players on the roster being from Kansas and really small towns and then kind of growing up watching Alabama? Just how are they approaching this opportunity?
I think everybody's excited about it, but in the same respect, it's going to come down to our preparation, and we talked about that yesterday after practice, that we've really got to dominate the details of our game plan, because I think Alabama does as good a job as anybody of attacking your weaknesses and attacking, whether it's a personnel or a scheme, what you do poorly. They do a great job of exposing that. So we have to do a great job of dominating the details and doing a great job with execution and just knowing our game plan. But I know that all of our guys, no matter where you're from, are really excited about the opportunity for starters to play in the Sugar Bowl, to be in a New Year's Six game. And I know the fan base is excited about going down to New Orleans, and then we'll see what happens on the 31st.
Coach, I think there was 23 FBS head coaching changes this year. Can you explain if you're expecting any transition on your staff from coaching full-time to GAs, whatever?
I have no idea. They will come to me. We've got a great understanding, our coaching staff does. If they have an opportunity that I can help them with, I want to help them. If they get an opportunity to be a head coach or a coordinator, and they're not one of those right now, I'm in this profession because of what people did for me, and I would do the same for them. But right now, all of us are together. I don't know if there'll be any movement. I hope there's not, because we got a great staff. But I think everybody will be set through New Orleans for sure.
And then at the same time, can you explain the importance of being able to keep staff continuity and how important that is to have a successful program?
Yeah, it's critical to have the same voice, the same messaging, all that stuff. But you say that in one breath, doesn't mean I don't want somebody to get a great opportunity if they can further their career. I was able to move along and further my career, and those decisions aren't easy, because you're not just affecting yourself, you're affecting your wife, your children, family. But I know that guys are focused on this game too. I know our coaching staff is 100% locked in on preparing our guys to go battle a great Alabama team.
Coach, I assume Adrian will be healthy or close to it. But how do you balance the use of the quarterback?
Yeah, he practiced yesterday, which was good, and it was a normal practice. He took reps. Will took reps with the ones, and then he and Jake took reps with the twos, and we eased him into it yesterday. We'll probably give him a few more reps. I think he came out of it okay yesterday. So we'll probably give him a few more reps these next 3 days and push him a little bit more, because I'd love to see him play. Will's going to start. Will's the guy in the bowl game. But I'd love to have Adrian get an opportunity to play in this bowl game. And if he's healthy, that's the plan, is trying to get him some snaps in there. But I want to make sure that he's healthy first, and we need to probably get through these next 3 days, and then he's going to get a few days off before we reconvene in New Orleans.
When you watch film of Alabama, what's a couple of things that jump out at you like, oh boy, we don't see this in the Big 12, but this is going to be really good stuff?
Well, I know it's going to shock you when I tell you this, but to me, football's football, and you've heard me say that before. They're really good up front on both sides of the line of scrimmage. Other teams in our league are really good up front as well, but they've, in my mind, I know they have Heisman Trophy winners in Bryce Young, and they have really good skill kids all over the place. But when you watch them over the last decade that I've watched them, their front seven has always been very disruptive, and it's no different this year. And their offensive line has always owned the line of scrimmage, and that's kind of where I look at Alabama and say they win up front on both sides of the line of scrimmage, and I know they have skilled kids all over the place.
Finally, a hard-hitting question. Are you in the new indoor, and what do you think?
Yeah, we are in the new indoor. We haven't opened up the garage doors, and I don't think we'll do that today to get to the other part of that. Plus, it's not quite finished yet. It's a lot brighter than the old indoor. Surface is different. It's taken us a little bit to get used to that. It's going to take us a little bit. The grass or the turf's a little bit higher, a little bit longer, but it's refreshing to be in there. I know the guys are excited about having a new environment, and you can actually coach and talk in there without the lights being too loud. When I say the lights being too loud or the furnace being on or something, it's really neat to be in there. Can't thank enough to the Ryan brothers in KC and the Shamrock Corporation for getting that done and helping us with that, because it's a game changer for us.
Coach, I know it's a different team, different year, but how does it affect your team? You got a lot of kids who played against LSU, and another talented SEC team, and had success.
I don't know. I don't think it's ever been brought up with our guys. I really don't. I mean, that was last year's team. This is a different team. We are different. Obviously, Alabama's going to be way different. It doesn't get brought up in any conversations we have with the guys.
I know your focus is on the game ahead, but because of signing day falling right in the middle of this, do you talk to any players at all about, especially the ones that have a chance maybe to come back for an extra year, and how do you work around that, or do you have to wait till the late signing period too?
No, we've talked to everybody on the team about where their plans are, and there are a handful that are unsure, that are pretty impactful, that I'm going to let enjoy this game, and then we'll continue those conversations. But we have a pretty good gauge of what's going on with the roster.
The NCAA announced on Friday that the bowl game wasn't going to affect the 4-game redshirt. Is that something that you guys are going to be taking advantage of, and what do you think about that?
I wish I would have announced it on November 5th. I mean, that was the simple answer, is the kids that we didn't play against Baylor and we were beat to heck, the kids we didn't play against West Virginia and we were beat to heck, or didn't play against KU and we were beat to heck, to try to save that game for the bowl game was all along the goal. And so a good number of kids lost out on an opportunity to play another game, and that's unfortunate. Saying that, all the kids that probably were going to play in this game are going to play in this game because we would have used that game before.
And then a guy that we just haven't had a chance to ask about that I think got banged up during the Big 12 championship was Uso.
Yeah, Uso has not practiced yet, but all indications are that he'll be full go next Monday when we get to New Orleans.
Coach, when you were in Texas, did you have much of a chance to visit with Darren Sproles?
Just said hello to him before the game, but that was it.
How much of an inspiration do you feel he is to guys like Deuce and others of that physical stature?
Oh, I'm sure he is. I know that he's one of the greatest players in college football history, with him being in the Hall of Fame, let alone the NFL. Absolutely. I know that guys like Deuce look up to him. Anybody that's a running back that's not of the prototypical stature would look up to Darren Sproles, because the guy was a dude, man. He was a great player. And I'm just happy that he was on the sideline and a part of that game and experience. He's been to practices of ours. I welcome all of our former players back, and I was excited that Darren was a part of that a couple Saturdays ago.
When you're recruiting, I mean, you can't measure heart, but when you're looking at physical stature, what are the factors you look into that convince you that they could play on this level?
Well, you look at a kid like Deuce Vaughn, you turn the video on, and you're like, we'll take that kid. That kid's pretty special. And then you bring him up because you want to make sure that the character and the integrity match the ability, and they exceeded the ability in my mind. And he and his mother came up when he came on his visit, and all he wanted was a chance. That's all he wanted was a chance, because I don't think anybody else in Power 5 was giving him a chance. And when you flipped on his tape, you knew he was good enough to play. No matter what size he was. But then when he sat in my office and you saw the same infectious smile that you guys see every day, and a kid of character and integrity, and a family with character and integrity, it was like, we're not letting this kid go, and we're gonna jump on him and see if he'll take it. And he did. And I think some people probably regret that.
And one final one from me. There's been a lot of national recognition of Deuce in the last week or so. Can you share your thoughts on it?
I will say the same thing that Deuce would say. We've got an unbelievable offensive line that has worked its tail off, that have opened up a lot of holes. And we've got great tight ends, fullbacks, wide receivers that block. Colin's done a great job of calling plays, and Deuce with the football that he wouldn't say is as electric as anybody I've ever been around.
You got a few guys who will have to, decide if they want to maybe go to the NFL after this season or not. How do you as a coach plan on handling those conversations with guys in the environment?
We'll talk about it after the bowl game, and they are already gathering that information, and I'm going to help these guys make the best choices for them and their families. Everybody'd like to see these guys in K-State purple again next year. We know that, but what's the best thing for them and their family and for their future? That's the thing that I've been doing this a while, and you get to know these kids so well that you don't want to lose them. You don't want them to leave. But you also know that there's an opportunity, and sometimes those windows are small for them to go on and have that chance to play at the next level and take care of their family. If that's the best pattern or best path for them, we're sure going to support them in whatever they do.
I also want to ask one follow-up on Adrian. Given that he's never played in a bowl game before, how much is he itching to get out there, even if it's just in some small way?
Well, even after he got hurt against Baylor, and we knew he was going to be out for some period of time, he and I in the office, and I just said, Adrian, I know how important it is for you to be ready to play in a bowl game. And I said, I want to make sure that you are going to push yourself to get to that bowl game, not knowing what his plan was going to be. And that was what he had kind of earmarked of, no, Coach, I want to play in a bowl game. I never had the opportunity. Very similar to Cade last year, of Cade wanting that opportunity to play in a bowl game. And so I was so excited that Adrian, for starters, said, no, Coach, that is my goal, is to get myself ready for the bowl game. If we played tomorrow, I don't know if he would be ready to play. But I know we still have, a good amount of time. And the fact that he is practicing, I hope, gives him confidence and gets him stronger so that he's ready, because he has some other things on the other side of this bowl game, too. I want to make sure he's healthy enough to do some of those other things, whether it's combines to different, all-star game, bowl game experiences, that he can showcase his skills for the next level.
You've got signing period opening on Wednesday. You've got the transfer portal coming and going.
Yep.
You've got possible guys leaving for the NFL after the bowl game, but you also have the COVID season.
Yeah.
That's going to come back. How do you manage these?
You don't. I mean, it's a headache me listening to you.
That's true for all of us.
I mean, Fitz, you give me a headache typically, but that one really got me. The bad thing is I got to talk to Taylor Bratt about that all the time, and he's scatterbrained as it is. So the roster management is very difficult. That's all I can say. It's very difficult. And, are you going to undersign and then you got to find guys late? Or are you going to oversign and assume somebody's going to leave the program? Are you going to sign somebody and then not realize that kid's coming back? Or not sign somebody and two guys at that position leave? I think we're still in another 2-year cycle of this, which is crazy. I don't know. The roster management is incredibly hard right now for all head coaches, and I see it more with new head coaches going into places, because that's where there's probably even more mass exodus when you get a new coach and all these. Man, I don't know. It's to recruit 40, 50 guys on some rosters probably. We've had a handful leave. You guys know we've had a handful leave. I know there'll probably be a couple more, but I don't think there'll be 15 more or something, so that we feel like we have a handle on it, but something's always going to happen or could happen. And so we're talking about it on a daily basis, and I'm praying that I can get to, was the 21st, is now the 22nd on a signing day press conference, and then be able to shut it down afternoon of the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, and try to catch my own breath before we reconvene and roll through December 26th till February 1st.
Early signing period had noble intentions, but is it in the right place in the calendar?
Probably not. I just don't know, because there's always unintended consequences when you move something. Probably not. But if somebody said, why don't you do this on August 1st and sign all these young kids on August 1st? Well, we get a lot of kids that are 2023s because they came to a home football game this September or this October and went, wow, what an electric place this is. I want to come here. I don't want to lose that either. We get kids that commit in the summer like everybody else does. But we still get those kids that say, I want to come to a game in the fall. In our game day environment, I'll put up against anybody because it's phenomenal. And you can see that this is a electric campus, an electric town and community on game day. And so I would be hesitant to say how much earlier you're going to have it, because you still got to utilize those game visits.
You want Easton?
I'm not answering it if you do. He took mine.
What about moving it back to March, first week of March, and saying, like the NFL has a rule, you cannot hire a coach until after the last bowl game? You've coached for national championships, and you've got coordinators leaving and not participating with their team when they're going to play in the national championship game. I think it damages the sport.
Yeah, but if you push it back to March 1st, then nobody's going to early enroll in January. There's so many different things that we could continue this on for hours upon hours. I just don't know where it's going. I really don't. I don't make those decisions. I just got to try to take whatever rule it is and make it work. And that's what all of us are trying to do. But there's kids entering the transfer portal right now, and it just became dead yesterday. So now those guys are trying to find places to go, and they can't go on those campuses. And we as coaches are trying to do that, but trying to secure our high school class, trying to get ready for a bowl game. I'm glad we didn't play last weekend in the bowl game, because some of those coaches coached last weekend in the bowl game and lost all that week of recruiting. I don't know where it's going. I just don't have any idea.
Coach Cooper Beebe's one of those players with a decision to make. So how vital of a cog has he been?
He's been phenomenal. Another All-American that deserved the recognition, he's that offensive line together has had so much continuity, so much chemistry together. It's been fun to watch. And the one thing I'd say about that group, as many snaps as those guys have played together, they keep getting better and better this year.
All right, appreciate it. See you Thursday.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see you Thursday.